For more videos like this for Discrete 1, you can take a look at Sarai Studies, link is in the description box below.
If you're ever asked to find the converse, inverse, or contrapositive of an implication, you don't ever actually have to think or memorize what they are. I'll show you how I always remember them. So I use this phrase, if you're sick, you're sobbing. So the idea is if you're really, really sick, you start to cry. But I spell it sick as in C-I-C and then sob. And the way I think about this is I think most people in their lives have a sneakerhead friend. You know, a friend who's obsessed with shoes. Shoes always come first in their lives. And so then I think, oh, Converse reminds me of the shoe brand Converse. And since most people have a friend where shoes come first in their lives because that's all they're obsessed with, then that helps you remember, oh, you're going to put Converse first. So Converse comes first, and then everything else is easy because I is inverse, it's the only I, and then the only other C that you have is contrapositive. So you simply have to remember what they are, converse, inverse, contrapositive. Those are the only three. The S here stands for switch, the O stands for opposite, and the B stands for both. Do both in that same order. So what am I talking about? If you're given an implication and you're told to find the converse, then all you're going to do is switch P and Q. So this becomes Q implies P. If you're given an implication and told to find the inverse, then all you're going to do is take the opposite of each. What that means is negate each proposition. Because remember, this symbol just means take the opposite of it. So I'm going to grab this and all I'm going to do is take the opposite of each one. And then if you're given an implication and told to find the contrapositive, then you're going to do both. You're going to switch and then take the opposite. So you take P and Q, switch them, and then you're going to take the opposite. So remember, that just means use the negation symbol. So negation, negation. So the contrapositive is really the converse, but then you just negate each proposition. And that's it. So you don't have to memorize, oh, the converse is Q implies P, the inverse is not P implies not Q, the contrapositive is not Q implies not P. Just remember the phrase, if you're sick, you're sobbing. And then think of your sneakerhead friend where shoes come first in their lives, so then converse, a shoe brand, should come first. Let's try a little example. We're told to translate the following sentence, so this sentence, to propositional logic, and then write the converse, inverse, and contrapositive in English. So in propositional logic, they just mean write it using variables. So let's first identify what P is. We could say that P is it is raining, and then we can say I bring my umbrella could be our second proposition Q. So in propositional logic, if then is an implication. So you say if P, so P implies Q. If P, then Q. If P is true, then Q should also be true. Then we're told to find the converse, inverse, and contrapositive in English. So if I was on an exam, I would go through the exact same process again, but the converse I already know is Q implies P. So in English, that would be if I bring my umbrella, then P. So then it is raining. So if I bring my umbrella, then it is raining. The inverse is not P implies not Q. So again, anytime you see an implication, you could say if then. If not P, so the opposite of P is it is not raining. Then the opposite of Q. So the opposite of I bring my umbrella is I don't bring my umbrella. The contrapositive is if the opposite of Q, then the opposite of P. Or notice it's just Q implies P, but then you take the opposite of it. So it's the converse, but then you add a not. So I could take the converse and just add I do not bring my umbrella and it is not raining, and that is the contrapositive. Now one thing you want to note is that the contrapositive, this one right here, is the only one that is logically equivalent to the original implication, meaning that this sentence here and this sentence here are actually the same. They mean the same thing. This means that if the contrapositive is true, the original implication is also true. They have the same truth value. If it was false, then the original implication would be false, and vice versa. And if you do a truth table for this proposition, which is P implies Q, and this proposition, which is the contrapositive, which is not Q implies not P, you will see that you will get the same truth values. You will actually get two columns that are exactly the same. They have the exact same truth values, which I'll actually show in the next video. And I emphasize this because it's a useful fact to remember when you learn proofs by contraposition, which we'll get to when we start proofs. I'll see you in the next video.